Welcome, Ngaire. So you took part in the debate France in the world with or without Europe. Now, this debate couldn't be more spot on with what we just saw with Brexit, and we still have no idea as of now what's going to happen for Britain. Now, the premises of the debate said France will no longer be in the G7 35 years down the line. What would be France's most effective way to defend its preferences in cooperation and regulation?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think it is within a tight cooperation among European partners, and it's hard to imagine that it won't be the European Union. But that said, and that will be crucial for cooperation on tax, on regulating banks, on trade, on so many things that affect the lives of all French people. But that said, for France to really have influence within the European Union, you do need to think about the balance of power within the European Union. And it is a fact, as we saw in all the Eurozone negotiations with Greece, that Germany is a very dominant player in the European Union. So my question for France, in respect of Britain, is actually what happens to French power relative to German power if Britain exits? Work I've done looking at coalitions of countries shows that the most equal coalitions are where you have runners-up, where you have the second and third most powerful countries are quite powerful. And I worry that a European Union without Britain will be a European Union that's yet more dominated by Germany.
How will France be able to position itself within the European Union to be powerful?
Well, I think it's going to have to find and build very tight coalitions. You know, France really did reach out to southern European countries during the Eurozone crisis, to Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, and try, I think, to understand how Europe looked from their point of view, perhaps sometimes slightly more than German and our Dutch partners did. And I think France will have to continue to do that and support that range of views that come together to give the European Union a more balanced debate. If you look at the issue of inequality, which is really fervent in France, you know, the sense of solidarity across the political spectrum, Germany is starting to look more and more unequal. It's starting to look like Britain, whereas France is actually holding on to a degree of equality, which neither Britain nor Germany are. And I think France needs to actually hold that ground within the European Union, and it will need allies to do that.
So what exactly is the future of the European Union, according to you?
I think the European Union will not become more and more integrated in the plan that was made a decade ago. The European Union's got two huge fracture lines through it. The Eurozone crisis split Europe into creditors and debtors, and that split is still felt across most of Europe. The European Union is also split on migration controls, with a couple of countries have already imposed national controls, and the European Commission has, you know, unwillingly recognized those controls. Well, freedom of movement and the euro are quite foundational to the Eurozone, to the European Union. And now, with the threat of a British Brexit, the very membership of the European Union is in question. These are really big cracks in the foundations. My own view is that the European Union will continue to be a union of tight cooperation, but I think some of the federalist ambitions of the European Union will not find support nation by nation across the European Union.
I was going to ask you, how should countries act individually? And we have seen with Britain this idea of the referendum being a solution. But is it though? Could it be the solution for many countries in Europe? You
know, Mrs. Thatcher said that referendums are the instruments of dictators and demagogues, never of democrats. And I think there is two reasons for that. And one is that democracy is not majoritarian rule. Democracy is about the protection of minorities, it's about the rule of law, and it's about elections. And democratically elected governments have to take responsibility for decisions they make and implement. A referendum is a way for politicians to say, it wasn't my decision, it was your decision as the people, and therefore I don't have to take responsibility for it. The other problem with referendums is that people never vote for what's actually on the referendum paper. In my own country, in New Zealand, they just have a referendum about whether people wanted this flag or that flag. It doesn't get simpler than that. But as it turned out, people voted on everything except the flag. They voted because they didn't like the Prime Minister. They voted because they didn't like the process by which the new flag was chosen. They voted because they worried it would cost money to change the flag. Referendums are very, very poor instruments of consultation. Politicians should listen to the electorate. They should consult the electorate. They should be really close to their voters, and they shouldn't need a referendum to tell them how to govern.
Well, thank you very much, Ngaire Woods, for this interview.
Thank you.